Hello. I don't actually know if people are watching. I have to look at the chat, which I can't see. This is really annoying. I'm going to have to look this up. Is it working? I'm going to have to message somebody to see if this is working. This is annoying. Why isn't this working? Oh, people can see me. Hello. What's up, guys? I'm trying to be able to see the chat because on my computer screen, which is over here, I can't see it. So, I am attempting to solve this issue because I need to be able to see the chat. I need to be able to see the chat. But I'm trying to be able to log. Let me see if I can log in. Also, trying to log into Twitch on my phone, but it's not letting me. 1 second. I need to check my password for it. All right. Why am I not logged in? This is so frustrating. I'm sorry. Technical difficulties is always a problem. All right, I have to log into Twitch, or I can just look over. Somebody asked me a question, I will literally just start talking about shit, or I can just start talking about the character. One sec, but hold on. I want to be able to interact with you guys, so I need to figure this out. Why is this not working? Wait, I think it's working. Making me verify that I am a human being. How dare you? Holy crap. There's a chimney? No. Oh my god. Come on. Well, whatever. I'm just going to have to look over here to see chat and well, thank you for this. I really do actually like the setup. I rearranged my house, but this is actually my front door. But all right. So I might as well just start off and actually just talk about the character of Ilian and like how I came to come up with all of this. So when I first made the character, or when I got kind of like when InstaQuest wanted me to do this, I pretty much told them, I was like, I can be whatever character you want me to be, so I will be the filler in the group. So when they finally got, because I was like, I have like costumes for everything, or at least I could make. I was quite confident I had enough, costumes and clothing to where I could make whatever I needed to fit whatever character they wanted me to play. So they asked me to be the Barbarian, and I was like, sweet. I've never actually I've never played a barbarian before in D&D. I was like, sweet, actual, like, I get to like go outside my comfort zone, play a different character, and but I wanted, like, in my normal tradition, needing to be different fashion, I was like, all right, I don't want to be the traditional, barbarian meathead, I mean, like, obviously I'm going to be running in there and hitting things, but I didn't want to be like the stereotypical barbarian. So the first thing that came to mind is like, well, what's the opposite of being a barbarian? And that was like intellectual, not like kind of like intelligent, is able to solve problems with words. And so I was like, well, what about like the gentleman barbarian? But I was like, all right, that's cool, but I need to figure out a way to like wrap that in and work. And honestly, the thing that really solidified the idea was the fact that I had this coat, and this used to be a full-length coat. If you want to see the whole, like, what it used to look like, you can actually go on my Instagram at Alex Drastal, and if you scroll down, there's photos of me in this coat, but it's all nice. I'm dressed up like a prince, and if anything, that could be Ilian before everything that happens to him. And that was kind of where I went with the character. I was like, all right, I want to be this gentleman barbarian. I have this really cool coat. I got the funny story. Like I got the coat at the LA Opera House, like blowout sale, like years ago. And I'd worn it. I had used it. I was like, I'm okay with destroying it. And so, and that's where like the character design started to come into play, and I was like, all right. Well, first I had to write, to make the character make sense, I had to write the backstory, which I'm gonna give you guys some of the backstory, but I want a lot of the backstory to get discovered over time. And I promise I'll stop talking at some point and look over at the chat, but I had to start saying something. So when I started writing, so I was like, all right, so he's gonna start off. Like, why is he a gentleman? Like, why does he have this intelligence? Why does he, maybe he speaks in a more eloquent fashion, or like, why is he that way? And my first thought was like, all right, he used to be, of like the aristocracy, or, someone higher up, like a lord, or something, within that, higher up world in the realm. And so that's who he was. He used to be a lord. He was a knight. He, hence the name Sir, and he refuses to denounce that, because in his brain, once a knight, always a knight, and unless you do something like that to deserve to be taken away from you. So he used to be a lord. He technically still is. He was stripped of his titles. He was framed for the murder of somebody, and I'm not gonna give that away yet. But he was framed for the murder of somebody. And, and it's one of the reasons that'll come out in his characters, like, he can't stand corruption, like, and injustice and things like that in that type of setting. Honestly, right now, in the way of the state of the U.S., he'd be very infuriated by everything. Because he tried, like, everything he could do to clear his name, and the person who framed him had just everybody in his pocket. There was no way he was getting out of it, and so he ends up getting sentenced to death. And while he's out there on the execution block, still in his coat, he's been thrown in prison, so it's a bit tattered. Everything he's wearing is a bit tattered, because he's just been sitting in a cell. And the person who framed him comes up to him and says some things about the person that he framed the killing of, and Ilian loses it. And that's where he goes. He discovers that he has the ability to rage, and that's where the whole ability of why this person who you wouldn't expect to be a barbarian becomes a barbarian. And so he loses it, he rages, and I know some people are probably going to ask this question, it may have already been asked, but that is actually where Scarlet comes into play. Because Scarlet was actually the executioner's weapon that they were going to use to kill him, of which then he took and basically uses to escape. And so like that's kind of well, and then he escapes to the wilderness. Ends up finding like a group of these orcs, like a spiritual. Like there's different types of tribes of all different types of, whether it be orcs, whether it be the very violent rampaging kind, or like if you've ever played. This was kind of like where I thought about it was like if you've ever played World of Warcraft, kind of like the Tauren, or even like the orcs, they had shamans as well, who were like Thrall was more of a spiritual leader rather than somebody who was all about bloodlust and killing, kind of like oh god, I can't remember his name, but he ended up becoming leader of the Horde. Oh, besides the point. So he finds this group of orcs who don't try to kill him, which he's very happy about. And they're the ones who actually teach him how to harness his rage, how to become a barbarian. And that's how, like, the outfit, in my mind, transitioned, and where he gets all, like, the sleeves come off, because obviously it's way too hard to fight if you're wearing long, cumbersome sleeves. But he's still, and, like, other things like armor, chainmail gets added, all sorts of different pieces that I wanted to incorporate, and each one of them has kind of a bit of a story, a bit of a, which I hope to come out in the game, because like you can't play, in my mind, it's really hard to play or be a character if you don't know who that character is and why they are the way that they are and what their motivations are and where they've been, like, and like each part of like what you're wearing has a story behind it, and you have to know all of those stories, because then when someone comments in the game about something or says something to you, you have like a gut reaction to what they're talking about or what they're saying, and it really helps you become a character, and because you have a point of view, and that point of view has to be from the character that you create, and creating a more elaborate backstory really helps with maintaining being able to be that character, and not like what a lot of people, if you're in the D&D community, they call metagaming, which is you don't act the way your character would act, you act the way you know, and using the knowledge that you have to act in a way that might just benefit you more, rather than acting how the character would act. So I'm gonna look over the chat real quick to see. Holy shit! All right, I gotta read some of this. Oh my god. Ooh, political. Yeah, everything almost has a backstory. But yeah, please, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. I will look over. I will talk about them. I also want to talk about like different pieces of, like, if you want to know how I made certain parts of the costume, like where it comes from. If you have any questions about about the backstory, I may not be able to answer everything, but I want to, because I want things to come out. I want it to be a surprise. Like I want to give you enough to where it's exciting and you're like, oh, I can't wait to find out who that is, or why did that happen, or all of those types of things. But it doesn't look like anybody. All right, we got a question. All right, can I hit something with the axe? I probably could. It is quite sturdy. It's made of the axe blade itself is made out of, I'm pretty sure, like aircraft aluminum. So it's sturdy. And but no, I'm not going to hit anything in here because I like my stuff and I'd like it to not get broken. So no, I'm not going to do that. But this is actual, like, this is solid wood. This is aluminum, which in a real fight wouldn't do you too well, because anything pretty much just will like slice through aluminum. So yeah, it in a real fight, not going to do too much, but against, like, a fleshy unarmed person, you could really do some damage with this thing. And as we saw in the show, it also hits like a brick shithouse against fictional characters. I'm not going to hit any real people. Oh my god! Okay, we actually got some questions. Very much like to know reviews. All right, for the costume itself, what I'm gonna get back to that question because I want to like ask about something specific, because I could talk about everything forever. But do you want to know something specific about the costume? Oh yeah, I should have gotten a watermelon. That'd have been cool. How did I learn to play D&D? How did I get into it? All right. So I've, like, D&D, like I've been like I know a lot of people know, but like not everybody. I've been like a nerd like my entire life. Like I love like anime, but like medieval fantasy, as you can tell, or at least I feel like it's quite evident by all the like things that I have, that medieval fantasy is definitely my favorite. And I discovered, I think I really got into medieval fantasy when Lord of the Rings came out. I just was like, this is what, like, I loved everything about it. One of my friends in high school, his name is Steven, like one of the very few friends I had. We played like Magic the Gathering. And he started learning how to become a DM. So he was actually the first person that I played Dungeons and Dragons with, and like I still play Dungeons and Dragons with him. And we actually have an online campaign going, and it's just, for me, it's so much fun to, and I know it's why a lot of people play video games or play D&D, is you get to be, you know, like something outside of yourself. You get to be something different, or you get to be like what a lot of people do with like the avatars in their games and stuff like that, is they get to be themselves, but as something that they could never be in real life. And I think it's fascinating. It's fun. You get to try out like different personalities, different character backstories, like, and it's really fun to see like the things, like, because sometimes like if you may not even be able to play a bad character because like you yourself are like, wow, this is really hard to make decisions, because you start to put yourself in like the life of the character, and it's really hard to like make really shitty decisions, be like, yes, we're going to burn down the orphanage or something, and like it's even hard for me to do that, and it's not even happening, and it's like, so I'm a terrible evil character. I can be like an asshole kind of character because it's kind of fun to like almost like a Vegeta or a Bakugo kind of character where you're an asshole but you got a heart of gold. And it's like, so I've even discovered aspects about myself that I know that like I know that are like really strong, because even in a fictional world, it's very hard for me to make those decisions. So that's kind of like my backstory on, you know, how I learned to play D&D, or how I got into it. Like, but yeah, just getting into medieval fantasy itself was all Lord of the Rings, hands down. Love Lord of the Rings. All right, I gotta find some more. Oh, there we go. What's up, man? What's up, Dr. J? Looks like you added some details from the Opera House that I'm just curious about if they have any meaning. So what I added, so like the coat itself, really all I did was, the coat used to be, I'm gonna put Scarlet down. Hopefully she doesn't fall and break things like she likes to do. There we go. All right. So like the coat itself used to be a full coat. It still had the tails and everything, which I left because I really liked those. But it used to close all the way in the front. When I first tailored it, it would close. It like buttoned at the bottom, or like the two bottom pieces. If I can stand up, like these two pieces used to connect in the front, and as you can see, it's all been folded in. Or you can't actually see that, but a lot of it's been folded in and tailored in, and also on the back here, like it was folded over a second, and then I sewed it down so that it would sit open like a vest. So now it sits open. I also added in the stitching on the back, and obviously the fur and everything on the sleeves. But the coat, everything else was already on the coat. But the fur, the chainmail, and the brooch, which also has a meaning, which that one I don't think I should get into. That's a really good one to have come out, because there's a lot of other things that go with it. But yes, this is, if you were wondering, the brooch does have significant meaning. But yeah, no, the coat. Oh yeah, I also added added the leather and the antlers on the collar. But that's pretty much everything that I've done to the coat over the years. So I definitely repurposed it for multiple different things. And there's also a bunch of now like holes and like weathering and like scrape because I wanted it to look like he'd been wearing it in the in the freaking woods for 3 years. So, all right, what else? You have not seen Lord of the Rings. You need to get on that. It's amazing. It's actually really fun to watch the ones that they put out in theaters and then watch the remastered ones because they add there's like so much left out. And it's really cool to watch the original and then watch the new one because you get to see everything that they left out, all the things that they added, and it because I remember when I watched it and I had that experience, I was like, holy crap, like this, it was like rewatching it all over again because there was all this new information and scenes and stuff, and it was really cool to be able to point out, oh shoot, that wasn't in the original. So if you've never seen it, I do recommend, if you have the time, because that's a lot of hours, but watching the originals and then watching the extended like remastered ones. But yeah, you should get on that because they're amazing. Cool. Thanks for showing off the coat. Yeah, no, I really I don't know. I don't know how to do anything not 100%. Like, I understand that, we were all sitting at a table and you don't even really get to see everything like below, but it's very hard for me to not really go all out on a character. Like, I even have even got the freaking battle damage on the pants, and literally there's so much to this costume that if even sitting at a table, you're not going to see it all because literally all you could see was here up. So yeah, I really appreciate the fact that you guys appreciate the attention to detail because I don't know how not to do that. I have my own personal standard that I don't enforce on other people. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, well, I do this, so this is they hold other people to their standard. I'm like, I don't want to do that because everybody's standard is different. But I definitely, when I make a costume or when I or a cosplay or of a character, I really get into it, and I'm like, all right, I want it to look like it could be in a movie. And that's my goal whenever I make a costume is I want someone to be like, man, I want to put that on film or something like that, because it makes me really happy because it also really gets me into the character itself, because when it's real and I feel like it's real, then it's real. Or, it kind of, you can trick your brain into really becoming or living that character. And I think it especially if you're playing it, as an actor or on a show or something, it really brings it to life, and I think that's really important. So thank you for appreciating all the details, because a lot of work did go into this. There was so much hand sewing, to get the fur on the way that it looks and everything, and it was really fun. Me and my friend made the pants, and we had to weather it so it looked like it had been worn. It's funny, the pants are actually made out of my friend's floor tarp for their tent, because we do medieval reenactment and stuff like that. So and they had an extra one. It was the perfect color because I kind of wanted that off-white, kind of beigeish color that you normally see a lot of, because it's just that linen color, that nice linen color, and it with the red and everything like that. And since I was gonna have kind of the whitish looking fur, a little bit dirty, kind of off-white, I was that's the perfect color for the pants, and so that's why I ended up going with that. I have a backstory for the bracers. Hey, the bracers are actually really cool. A friend of mine lent these to me. Probably, I know it's not indefinite, but I know they don't want them back. I'm sure if they were like, hey, I need the bracers, but okay, here you go. But it's not. They're actually a movie prop from this movie that was made back, I think, the 80s, It was called The Sword and the Sorcerer. That's actually also what Scarlet is from. She's actually a prop that honestly she looks way better now because I like cleaned her up and actually made polished the blade, made it look like she had an edge, added some extra details and stuff to it. But yeah, these two pieces are actually from an old movie, which I thought was really cool because my friend had this stuff in their garage because they used to do makeup and stuff like that for movies, and they actually helped me also weather my pants because I'd never really like weathered pants before, and so or like I didn't really know. I'm learning all the time. Like I don't know everything, and so it was really cool to see the techniques and stuff like they use to dirty my pants, theatrically. So I was really excited. I'm gonna look over at the chat. Oh, what's up, guys? What's up, Teal Hertz? All right, here we go. We got some questions. All right. I know we start talking about my character. Yeah. No, it's hard to like really realize your character until you go through like the entire backstory because you only know who you are because all of your past life experiences, like everything you've been through in your life makes you who you are today. Like the things people said to you when you were younger, the role models you had, the people who were mean to you or, did bad things, you get everything, all of those life experiences are what make you you. So when you create a character that you have to, embody, you got to have a lot of information and make everything mean something to you as the way that character would see it because you have a point of view about everything. So your character has to have a point of view about everything. So, yeah, backstories are really important. What else we got? Trying to impress my partner since he's a DM, but I don't know. But I don't know how to play, and quarantine is the best. Yeah, like, oh, you need all the advice. All right, so, but yeah, no, it's real. The game itself, like, once you learn, like, the simple mechanics, and I think the hardest part is, also the funnest part, is doing your backstory and doing like the character sheet can be kind of intimidating, but there's like simple guides on how to do it, how to create your character. And once you do it once and you get through it and it like never changes, even as D&D changes and like they come out with different editions, like the character creation process, and most of the classes and stuff like that become much easier to understand, and they're really fun to read through. But and it changes, but it doesn't change a lot. So when you hear, if like a new edition comes out or a new book comes out or something like that, once you have that like base knowledge, it becomes real easy to just pick up on like what's new, how the game mechanics maybe work differently. But the best way to really learn is just to have a friend. So if you have a partner who's a DM, I'm sure they can show you, and it's real easy, and you just play like a one-off. So there's a lot of they call it a one-off. It's where it's just supposed to be like a one-session campaign. So like maybe you're trapped in a dungeon and the whole campaign is just you trying to escape, and you already have a character. They're all like geared out. You wake up in a dungeon, and your job is just to escape. And it's those types of one-offs for learning are really great because in a dungeon they could teach you everything from, you might want to like before you open a door, look for traps, or and you learn about all the different like stat rolls that you want to do, or you learn about like how to look for things, and you slowly start to be like, all right, I just and you pretend that this is the real world. Like if you were in this situation, what would you be doing? Would you just be like, aha, like run into the next room? Oh crap, like an axe came down and like cut me in half. No, you got to think about that stuff. But it's super simple because they'll and a lot of times the DM will just tell you. It's very intuitive because the DM will be like, all right, you walk into the room, make a perception check, and you'll be like, what the hell does that even mean? But it's very easy to explain for the DM because you'll be like, all right, perception is like, first of all, it's your ability to perceive what's around you, and then you have a stat that coincides with, so perception coincides with wisdom. So, and it says it on your character sheet, and like that's what's great about it is once you see it all, you just, because nobody, I'm sure there's people who have it all memorized, but I don't have it all memorized. And you just look down and you go, oh, perception, wisdom. And then you look over and here's your wisdom score, and your wisdom score will have a modifier bonus. And so that adds to your roll. And anything you roll for, that's any kind of check, perception check, anything usually the DM will ask you to roll for is always your D20. Sorry, I'm like explaining all of Dungeons and Dragons right now. I don't need to do that. But yeah, no, they're really fun. I would suggest that for learning is doing like a one-off campaign, because you'll have fun. It's a one-day campaign, so if you hate it, you're like, well, I don't feel super invested. And it allows you to really learn all the different aspects of the game just in, a very short amount of time, like a one-day thing. So I'd say give that a try. It's a lot of fun. All right. Looking over here. Ooh, what are the differences between this and InstaQuest? All right, so at home, like the InstaQuest, super freaking cool. I think the main difference was like seeing everything, because normally you have to imagine it. It's all in your head, and which is a really, I think a lot of people really like about D&D is it's very immersive because everything's in your imagination. Sometimes you have like your little character models, or your DM will draw out a map for you, but sometimes like you don't even have that, and you're everybody's just imagining things in your head, and like the DM might be like, there's a creature, blah blah blah, there's a horrible zombie ghoul that comes out with like gnashing teeth and blue-green pustules, growing all over it, and and it's just lurching along the ground at you, moaning, and like all of that, and it puts a lot on the DM really too, to be very descriptive. And so I feel like in the InstaQuest like digital format where we got to see everything, it took a lot of pressure, I think, off of the DM to have to explain everything. So you're no longer explaining the visual aspect. You might be explaining, the sounds that you hear, but even that in the digital aspect could be done. But like the smells, the feeling that the room gives you, or things like that. And so it takes a lot of pressure off the DM, but also takes a lot of pressure off the player to have to imagine everything too. So you get to just see what's coming out, and you're like, oh my god, that's really cool. And it was a blast. Like, it was so much fun. I know it's definitely different when you're putting on a show, and because like none of everything we did was scripted or anything like that. But the idea of knowing that people are watching this, you're in a game, like you had like the interactive stuff with like Twitch, with people choosing things for you, or like when they chose the boss for us instead of the minion, and so it's a little bit both more immersive, and then also in the back of your mind, less immersive, but like it was so much fun. And especially when like you got to pan around and see things, or the NPCs were talking to you, and I think it has such a grandiose effect. I'd say the main difference from the other main difference is kind of like the chill factor of just showing up to your friend's house. Y'all like get together around a big table, and everyone's got their snacks. So there's that aspect of it, I think, is lost, but you gain all of these other things. So for what we're doing it for, which is to give people a visual aspect of like this, getting to watch a story unfold and play and watch these people play this game and kind of like live these characters and the world unfolding in front of them. It does it so much better than if you were just everybody sitting around telling a story, because then it's all in your imagination. But then again, there are podcasts and things like that people listen to, and they can just relax and listen to the story, and they see it all in their mind. But not everybody can do that. So I think bringing the visual aspect to them, gives them that, all right, I may not be the most imaginative person, so they're doing it for me. And I think that can really help a lot of people, or also just it's cool to watch. Like it was definitely cool to be there and be in it. Like I felt like I was in a world, and it was awesome. So that was a long-winded answer, but I loved it. I can't wait to do more. Like it's so much fun. All right, what else? All right. Oh no, you're not distracting at all. All right, what? Oh no, you didn't miss too much. I've just been rambling on. It's what I do. I ramble about stuff, but I don't know. I'm good at talking. All right, we got Let's Play. Thanks, Udahime. Yeah, no, D&D Beyond is, if you've never heard of D&D Beyond, it's super useful, it's super helpful, especially during, like, the pandemic. People can get on with their friends, like, from a distance. It's all online. And you can actually, like, the DMs can create, like, a 2D world, and you can move your characters or your character symbol, or however the DM tends to do it, around the map. And it's really cool. And, so that's another a way that D&D is being brought to people is through playing with their friends on the internet. And so that's another way to do it. Like especially like I said, right now with the pandemic, you can't go to people's houses. You can't do that like hang out with people, which honestly is a huge. I think being in person for me is like my favorite part of D&D because I get to hang out with my friends. There's something about being there with your friends. But like I've done the online too, and it's still like fun, and it's like when you can't do anything else, playing online, if that's all you got, it's not a bad option. It's really cool and really fun, and I'm glad that there are all these different ways and different options to play D&D, and the fact that D&D has actually become something that people are interested in and enjoy. Because shoot, when I was in school, D&D was still, oh, you play D&D, oh, you're such a dork, like now everyone's like, God, how do I, what, like people are like dying to like play it or find a group, or they're like, shoot, I have people, but I can't find a DM. Like, I love that that's the problem now, is not that D&D's lame, it's like, I can't find people to play. So I think it's fascinating, and I love the fact that we have all these different ways to do it. So, all right, checking more. Oh yeah, no, please go check it out. All right, what else we got? I know, like, I don't know. I'd say there's not a better time to get back into D&D. I love 5th edition. I think my favorite new thing that they've added is the reactions, because in previous editions you didn't. It felt you have that like turn base, but I feel the reactions kind of makes it feel like you're in more of like a battle or a situation that's actually happening. Because if somebody fires an arrow at or I guess it's better like a better example would be like counterspell. A counterspell used to be a spell that you had to like preemptively prepare. So you had to be like on your turn, be like, I hold my action. And then wait for somebody to cast a spell and then counter it. Or you had to preemptively assume that, all right, the mage is going to like cast something big. I need to, prep counterspell. I really like how there's, the ability to just, the mage casts a spell and the DM describes it and you're like, that sounds really powerful. I don't want that to happen. Counterspell. And you do that as a reaction rather than having to wait for your turn to do it. Or you having to preemptively cast that spell on your turn. And like same things with a lot of it's mostly spells. There's a lot of reactionary spells, but there's also a lot of reactionary abilities now. Like I think one of the monk's abilities is like you can literally catch an arrow out of the air. So if someone shoots an arrow at you and it hits, you can be like no, and you just catch it. But it happens in that reactionary moment instead of like you having to wait or all these different things. So that's something that they brought to the table in 5th edition, which I really, really like, and it makes the game feel so much more dynamic. And to me, I freaking love it because I like feeling like I can make a decision as something is happening rather than having to wait or preemptively do something. Because that's how things work in real life. You don't always get to prep things. You have to react to something. Another thing they've done in 5th edition is they've kind of streamlined the game, which I know a lot of people don't like as much, because in like 3.5 there's so much customization for characters, or for there's like a bajillion feats. There's a lot. And I know, like, for really seasoned players, that's really attractive because you get to just customize everything and make, like, the character you want to make. And I know in 5th edition, they kind of streamlined it a bit, which makes it great for, like I said, like, it's not a better time to start playing D&D. Because for new players, it makes it really easy to kind of get into the game, because they're not overwhelmed with, all right, you get a feat at level 1. All right, cool. How many feats are there? 500. And you're just like, what? And you want to pick the right ones. So you got to read them all. And it's like, no, there's not that many anymore. I think I'm not even sure if that's how many there were, but there was a lot. I think there's more like 50 feats now, or less than that, but the game is so much more accessible. I think it's still really fun. I really like 5th edition. And so I encourage people to give it a try, because it's so much fun. And it's not for everybody, and I understand that, and it does require, there's a lot of sitting and rolling dice and using your imagination, but if that's something that you like, and you like that's like literally you're writing a story, and that's what D&D is you got a bunch of people in a room, and you're almost I would almost encourage people to like tape their D&D sessions, because sometimes it's like you're writing a book, because you literally are just characters going through a story, going through a tale, and you're all making it happen. So it's even cooler, because you're all, it's like watching a movie, except you're the characters in the movie, and you're writing the movie as it's happening, in real time. So we'll see if I see any more questions. Ooh, what I tell, Oh, how do I pick? Well, first of all, I have a weird, and I'm sure Zombie Unicorn can attest to it, I have really, really, really good dice rolling skills. I don't know what it is. One of my friends almost, like, my friend right now is so glad that we're playing on the computer, because I have to roll through the computer, so the computer rolls for me, so I'm not allowed to, like, roll dice, because I don't know what it is, but I've always had, like, really good dice rolling skills. I've never actually had... I've had times where I've had bad rolls, but it's never been, like, where I'm just constantly rolling bad, and I've had to put dice in, like, a lot of people call it dice jail. I've actually not had that happen. And I should probably knock on all the wood so I don't just suddenly start rolling horribly. But... I've always had good dice rolling skills. I don't know. Maybe Alex Drastal in real life has a high luck stat. I'm just gonna say that, because that's all I can. Because it's not like there's any skill to rolling dice, because there isn't. How do I pick dice? I personally like. I have this really cool set of metal dice that my friend got me for my birthday, and I love them. And they were rolling good for me, so like, I don't think it necessarily always has to do with the dice. But I remember at Comic-Con a few years back, actually like 4 or 5 years back, I'd gotten back from the military, and I was playing D&D again with my friend, and I was like, I need dice. So they have at Comic-Con, there was a booth that just had like this tub of dice that was probably like this high, and you could just like sit there and like sift through. Like, you could buy like you could pick them out individually, or you could get like, they give you like a cup or a mug, and you could just like scoop a bunch and put in it. But like, I wanted to try to find all the different matching dice and get the ones that I wanted, and I found like all these dice that kind of had like these like swirly, like kind of dark like colors. I wonder if I can, hold on, I'm gonna see if I can't find one of them and show it to you real quick. All right, so here we go. So this was one of the dice. It's kind of, let's see if, I don't know if it'll focus, but I really liked the ones with like they were shiny. They had like the gold lettering, which I really liked, and they had all of these like little swirly, they're black, but then they have like what looks like lightning swirls of color going through them. And I found them in like all different types of colors, and I ended up finding like a whole set of them, like a bunch of different ones. So those are the dice that I picked out, and I really loved, and like I really enjoyed, and I've been using those ones for a long time. And now I have the ones that like my friend gave me and stuff like that. So I use the metal dice now for like the really important rolls, and then I have like my other dice that I just kind of use for everything. But that's kind of that's how I choose dice. I don't know what it is, but the dice that have like the slightly rounded edges, like they're not perfectly crisp, I don't know, they seem to roll better, and that might just be superstition. That might be just me saying that, but in my experience, that's a truth. For some reason, they seem to roll better for me. Oh my god, no. Nothing I do is planned, I swear to God. Yes, toss a coin to your artificer. Oh my god. Do I typically play physical classes, or have I ever played more of a mage class? So, before InstaQuest, it was actually really funny, because when InstaQuest contacted me, I was actually playing D&D. They're like, would you like to come and play D&D for this thing? And I was like, currently I'm playing D&D, so yes, I would very much like to do that. But, oh my god, shoot, I totally just brain farted. Mage classes. My last character, actually, because I was playing on my friend's podcast, and I'm like a mixture. I've never played like a full mage where I was just, I was nothing else. But the last character I played was like, I played him like a mage tank. So I was a cleric. I was 2 levels of cleric, and then I just went straight mage after that. I went sorcerer, and so I think right now we're level 8. So I'm like 2 levels of cleric and 6 levels of sorcerer. And 1 second, I forgot that I got this. I put this out here for myself, so I'm going to utilize it. Loosen that up a bit, but. And now I'm going to get really nerdy. So the reason I did that was because I wanted to be a mage tank, but I also discovered that as a cleric, there is the Tempest domain. Because as a cleric, you get these different types of domains that give you different types of powers. And as a cleric, at level 2, you get the ability to channel divinity, which for like a normal channel divinity, you pray to your god, and you just radiant light or energy emits from you. Both it can heal allies, damage undead, and things like that. But depending on the domain that you picked, the channel divinity of power changed. So, and in the Tempest cleric, you could wear full plate mail. So basically, you had heavy armor proficiency from the domain, which is what I wanted. And you got to use martial weapons, and the part that I really wanted was the once a day, because that was how many times you could use your channel divinity at level 2, was you could maximize 1 lightning damage spell. So you didn't have to roll the damage, it just did maximum damage. And I was like, this is awesome. Because then I was like, all right, I need to have at least 2 levels of cleric. And then I can run around with like plate armor and a shield and have a really high AC. And then I would basically use lightning spells to kill people, or to do other types of things. And so I went into sorcerer so that I could do things like twin cast, quicken spell. All sorts of, so basically I was just this this hulking armored cleric running around casting lightning, and it was awesome. And So that, if you want to talk about like mages and things like that, if anything, I would prefer to be able to. I like being in the midst of a fight. It's very much my own personality. I like defending the other players. Like I like being the guy who's like, gets in the way or, soaks up the aggro. Like even in World of Warcraft, I mained tank. It's what I like doing. But I also really like casting spells, and you can do that as like a paladin or as some of the other classes. You do get some spells, but it's just they seem a little bit underpowered. But shoot, you want to be like a crazy casting plate wearing monstrosity, then be a cleric sorcerer because it's awesome. I remember at one point because like when you do max damage with a spell and you can and if it's a single target spell, you could twin cast it as a sorcerer using metamagic. So you could be like, all right, so I'm going to use my channel divinity power to maximize, a lightning spell, which lightning does a ton of damage. And since lightning targets in a line, you actually target a specific point, you could twin cast it. And so I would maximize lightning and then cast it twice, because when you use twin cast, you cast the existing spell twice, not a second cast of it. So I was like, once a day I would just explode something, and it was super fun. But yeah, there you go. If that's a character also that you would like to, a build that you would like to try, give it a go, because it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool lightning spells and stuff you can use that make you very versatile, and you can, because I use things like Misty Step and Thunder Step to like teleport around the battlefield. It was so cool. Like I really liked that character. But also, if you want to, my friend's podcast is called Dances with Dice, and I think we have like 2 years worth of content. So please watch InstaQuest. But if you're interested in knowing about that character, his name's Eisen. But yeah, he if you want, you can go listen to that podcast too, and you can hear all about my ridiculous lightning wielding tank character. But all right, I'm gonna read some. We gotta read some more comments. Would I want Alien to eventually multiclass if given the option in InstaQuest? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm just gonna see if there's any other questions. All right, so I don't know, because the only problem with Barbarian is your rage. So unless you multiclass as like a fighter, or you multiclass as you almost are restricted to what you can multiclass as, because you can't do anything. I'd love to be like a Barbarian. That would be the best. And but the problem is you can't perform while raging, because performance requires concentration. So do a lot of other spells and abilities and things like that. So as a Barbarian, it's like, well, do I want to do this other thing, or do I want to rage? And raging is just so good that it kind of limits you into what you can multiclass as. Or I mean, if you want to be effective, I guess like if I wanted to go more of the roleplay story wise, but I don't actually know what would interest him in the future. Like if there was something he would want to multiclass as, or is he okay just being the person that he is? I honestly don't know. I know fighters got some really cool stuff that you can multiclass into, and also it wouldn't necessarily detriment being a barbarian and a fighter at the same time. See, this is my metagaming coming out here, being like, how do I maximize my character? No, I don't necessarily want to do that. I like it sometimes when your character. I'm already fucking strong enough. Sorry, pardon my French, but like Alien was hitting like a brick shit house in the first game, and like I felt bad. I'm like, I don't think he needs any more power. I think I'm just gonna leave him the way that he is. I do actually I plan on, actually, it might be coming out soon, because I know we're going to be leveling up and things like that. I don't know if we leveled up again, but because I want to, hence the orcs being all the shamany type people. My character, because this is already established, but and so you guys will get to know, but he's going to be going the path of the ancestral guardian of the barbarian. So like every class has you start out as the fighter or the barbarian or the rogue, and then I think it's at level 3 you get to choose a type of that class to path to go down. So if you want to look that up, or if you know anything about that, my character is going to be going down the path of the ancestral guardian, and that's because of the people who taught him how to be a barbarian. So that's what he's going to be doing later down the road. Let's see if there's any more questions. Yeah. Right? Why can't people be a barbarian? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like performance, because they don't specify like necessarily what performance is for the bard, allowing people to, do whatever they want. So I don't understand why you can't be running around, killing people while like screaming, like death metal or something like that. Like, why is that not an option? I don't know. Or maybe you're a barbarian who wields like 2 one-handed hammers, and he runs around and he basically makes music by beating in people's skulls and then, singing about it. Like, I don't know, hey, Wizards of the Coast, like, we need to be able to be barbarians. It's cool. Thank you. All right. But yeah, I don't understand why. It's just, sadly, I think maybe it would just be too powerful to be able to rage and be doing performance at the same time, because they're both kind of like powerful abilities. So that might be why, but from a logical standpoint, I think barbarians should be able to exist. And the great thing about D&D is it's really all up to your DM. Your DM can be like, hey, I like the idea of having barbarians, and he just allows it. So your DM can pretty much homebrew whatever the hell he wants, or she wants, but the DM has to then deal with it. So a lot of DMs will ban certain things that are actually allowed in the game, because they're like, that's way too powerful. You're not allowed to do that. Because a lot of the DMs just don't want to have to deal sometimes with like crazy, ridiculous, powerful players. And it's not because they don't want their players to be powerful. It's because it starts to get really hard to write encounters for your players if your players just like obliterate everything. So there's like a relationship between the players and the DM, and the DM shouldn't be like purposely trying to kill everybody, and then the players shouldn't be purposely trying to screw over the DM, unless that's just your group dynamic and you're both trying to do that. I don't know, that might actually be kind of fun. Like the DM's just like always trying to kill you, and you're trying to do everything you possibly can to fuck with the DM. I think that'd actually be a pretty fun campaign. It'd be really stressful because the DM's trying to kill you, but you're also doing everything in your power to like thwart the DMs. I don't know. That might be really interesting. But I'm gonna look more. Aw, all the beauty school girls are watching me. Well, thank you. Oh, the performers being introverted. It's true. Like, I knew a lot of cosplayers and stuff like that who, they're in the limelight of, like cosplay, and then, they have a hard time at conventions, but they want to go because they want to see their fans and stuff, but they're like really shy. And it's cool because it allows like things like, the internet and stuff like that allow people who aren't necessarily crazy outgoing to interact with people and not have to be in person. And like me myself, I'm like a weird, like I'm like an intro extrovert, because like I do like my time by myself, and like I'm very much, or I have like a tank, and when the tank runs out, I'm like, I need to go home. I need to be by myself. Like I can't people anymore. And I know that a lot of people are like that. The thing about my tank is I feel like an energy vampire in a bit. Like I don't steal people's energy. Like I don't take it away from them. There are people who do that. Like you're around them and they make you tired because they are literal energy vampires. But if I'm around people, and it's why like when I go to conventions and stuff, I could go all day. Because when I'm around people who are super fun and like are excited, it makes me excited. And so like even if I'm tired, I could like run on empty just because I'm running on the fumes that I'm collecting from people's like their energy, and they're having fun, and so like I can't help but also have fun. But yeah, I do think that even like being able to play D&D online, because like maybe you are introverted and you don't want to, you have a hard time even being in like a group of 5 people, or getting out of your house or things like that. And yeah, a lot of performers and stuff, they can get on stage, they can do their thing, and then they get off stage and they're like, everybody get away from me. Like, and it's such an interesting dynamic that, people who are in the limelight like that have, those types of personalities. So yeah, I do find that interesting and fascinating, but like everybody's different, and it's just so cool to see how people deal with stuff, or how people function, or how people, work around those types of things as well. All right, what else we got? Yeah, Scarlet is such a queen. Like, also, I don't know about you, but I found it ridiculously hilarious how I started using, the sword that I was presented with, and Scarlet just did not want to sit still. Scarlet was like, "How dare you, pick up another weapon? We're gonna have a talk about this tonight, like when this is all over, like." But no, I thought that was actually really hilarious, because the fact that I named it Scarlet, which may or may not also have a meaning. The fact that she couldn't stand me using another weapon. She's very fickle and very jealous woman, and Alien probably should know better than to do that. But it was a really nice sword, and when someone hands you a +2 weapon at level 2, and then my freaking oh my god, I'm forgetting the in-game name, a freaking Sushi Dragon. I'll think of it. Give me a second. Pseudo Blazemaker, like, made it a +3. I was like, I'm not gonna not use, and it had an AoE ability. Like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, but like it was. I shouldn't betray her like that. Next time, I'll make sure to use you more, I promise. Like, you did a great job. Like, we killed lots of things. Okay? Okay. I think she understands. But, no, I mean, I don't really want to use another weapon either, because I have the polearm feat. And I'm like, well, the polearm feat literally does nothing unless I'm using a polearm. So Scarlet's very important and will remain very important. I'm not going to be discarding her anytime soon. If anything, I'm going to try to get her upgrades so that, the sword that I have just looks like it'll be that meme where suddenly the swords like walk alongside me, and like I upgrade Scarlet and she walks by and I'm just like, holy shit, like, and the sword's like, what? But we'll see when that happens. Oh, okay, I gotta read some of these other questions. I'm so. All right, people tease. Stop teasing Udahime. Forge them together. I don't know. I wonder if that's possible. I mean, anything's possible in the world of D&D, but would the DM let me do that? Like, I don't know. Maybe I could forge like this, like melt down, but then I don't know, would the blade lose its magical properties if it's melted down and attached to a new weapon, or will it just be a more powerful new weapon? I don't know. I guess that's an answer for Jobo, but oh my god, coffee's amazing. All right, what else? A crazy scarlet pike, yes. Yeah, I'll just like tie them together, so like the sword will be coming out the bottom and I'll still have the halberd at the top. So It'll definitely make the secondary attack of the halberd, where I use the butt of the weapon, much more effective, because it'll just be a big sword at the bottom. Oh my god. But what else we got here? I don't know. Like what? That's the other thing is like getting. I really wanted to. I was debating when I was like creating everything whether I should name the weapon or not, and I was like, no, I gotta name the weapon, and I'm gonna keep hinting at this, but the weapon's name does have significance. I'm just not gonna tell you what it is. That'll have to come out in the game. But Scarlet, I'll just say it, like Scarlet's very important to me. Like that's why I can't give her up. Like it's never gonna happen. So all you other weapons out there can try and get at this, but I'm already like she owns like part of my soul or something. Like it's not happening. Oh yeah, that's actually not a bad question. Alien, like why is he? You know, it's both in the colors of his house. But also, he was always just because he was in his time being a knight and things like that. He was renowned for being a very capable pole arm fighter, and and he'd always and using a two-handed weapon can be a bit gory, and the reason he was actually in his time. Nicknamed the Crimson Knight because when he would come back from a battle, it'd be all over him. So he kind of adopted it, so people could when he'd go into court, he would still be wearing all the crimson. That and it also kind of like translates into being a barbarian, and also like how he really like that. It almost kind of is like second nature to him. Because that was something he already kind of did. So he both. It's not that he liked the color red; it was more of that he embraced the color red. And I personally, I like the color red, and there's a lot of. I need to like show you guys like like my apartment at some point, but it's. I have like red and gold and black and like, but red is definitely the theme color of my apartment anyway. So that's kind of like one of my own things being translated into the character itself. Is like I very much like the color red. It's my favorite color. So. Oh no, he wouldn't wear other people's blood in court. No, he would. That's why he adopted the crimson, like the dark burgundy coat, was because when he'd come back from battle, he'd be covered in it. But he wouldn't go to court covered in people's blood. That'd be a bit weird. I mean, maybe not in some courts, but not in that one. Not in the one that he was in. But I'm probably going to be wrapping this up soon. So if anybody else has any last questions, last thoughts, or anything, please let me know in the chat because I'd love to answer at least one or two more questions before I go. Yes, that is one of the reasons. That is the reason he. It wasn't that. It was his reputation and the name that he was given in battle that made him adopt kind of like his signature red coat that he would wear when he went to court. And also that way people would know, it kind of like he was known by that name. So even in court, people would be like, oh, there's Ilian the Crimson, like people just referred to him as, the Crimson. They'd be like, there's Ilian the Crimson. And, so it was, God, I wrote way too much backstory, or just enough backstory, depending on who you're talking to. But, I don't know, I have a lot of fun creating characters, and it's It's one of the things I love doing. And that's why, like, even when I did original characters, like with some of my cosplays and stuff like that, I loved putting it to other people to be like, all right, because I already know who the character was, but I'd be like, all right, I want to know like what people's thoughts are. Like, what would you name this person, and like what's their backstory, or like give me a snippet of their backstory, because I love hearing people's like where people go, you know, with their stories, and like by looking at an image, like tell me the tale of this character. It's like I love hearing it. I love hearing people's stories, their backstories. I love writing backstories. It's fun, it's rewarding, and then like creating the character and actually being the character is also just super fun. And so I'm so like thankful to InstaQuest for, you know, having me do this, because like I got to create Ilian out of it, and I love this costume. I love the character. I love, you know. That's why I was like, when I was doing the stream, I was like, oh, I gotta get it all on. I gotta have the setup. I gotta do it all, because it's just, I can't not, like, it's just too much fun. And it's just, I love this character. I love being the character. And I can't wait to when, like Ren Fair stuff and open up, cause like, I'm gonna be running around with, hopefully they'll let me in, cause it's not sharp. They'll let me in, to like the Ren Fairs and stuff with Scarlet, but because it's metal, it might be iffy, but I'm hoping they do, because it's it doesn't have any sharp edges on it. All right. Any last questions? I may be able to answer that one. Nobody. Disapproving Barbarian size. I don't know if you can read, because if you can read the backstory, then it kind of like spoils a lot of things. I actually don't know the answer to that question. I know there's like character bios up on the site right now, so if you want to like just know a little bit about the characters and like where they come from, and you know what they've been doing like the last few years or so, I think the bios are up. But I know I don't in the future, possibly. Like, I think it'd be cool to, as story unfolds for the characters, that we put up backstory. You know, so like as characters in the game find out and as the audience finds out, you can then go back and read the backstory, and it like maybe the backstory evolves and grows with more information as it's revealed. I think that'd be actually like really cool to do. That way people can really get invested in the characters, because in my opinion, a story is nothing without good characters and character development. And because if you don't care about the characters, whether you love them or you hate them, then you just don't care. Like, it doesn't matter whether they're put in dangerous situations. It doesn't matter whether they're succeeding or losing or anything. Like, you have to care about them, and you have to care about the story, or else, you know, you can have as much special effects, you can have as much any of that as you want, and it's not going to matter because you're not invested in the character. So I think that's why I think I put so much effort into character development and like who a character is, and being able to be that character, because that's what's going to, you know, grab people's hearts, is who the character is, not, you know, like just the flashy things happening on screen, which are also awesome. But I think developing, and it's you know, with the DM, him creating the world, you know, the world has to be engaging, the characters have to be engaging, and they have to be, you know, they have to be real people. That's why a lot of times I tell people, especially when you're playing a game, don't just do what the party wants if it's not what your character would do. And it's something that's like hard to do, because you're like, I need to keep the game going. But if your character wouldn't do it, or your character disapproves, or your character's like, hell no, then do that, because it creates dynamic. It creates the other party members, you know, you're not just then a bunch of people on on a quest who just agree with everything. You're real people having to find a way to work together to solve a problem. And I think that's way cooler than just a bunch of people getting along. And because then where's the excitement? You gotta have a little controversy. Thanks for all your questions, Taurus boy. I don't really have the room right now, and the way everything's set up, I don't really have a lot of room to swing her right now. But I do actually do medieval reenactment fighting, and I do like polearm is actually what I fight with. So like I'll have to. That'll be actually maybe something I'll talk to them. I'll talk to like the InstaQuest guys about is just doing like some promo stuff where we're all we're in costume and we're just doing like our moves and casting our spells, and that's something we can put up on like the site, and you know that way I could do something like learning to fight with a polearm by Ilian Bortos, and it's just Sir Ilian Bortos teaches you how to use a polearm, and like I could teach people like basic moves and show people like how to fight with it, and like I think that'd actually be really cool. So like thanks, that was a good question. I mean, a good like. Sorry, I can't like swing it around in here, but thank you. Those sprouted some good ideas. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna sign off. But like, thank you so much for just coming and hanging out, and letting me talk about this character that I created and that I love, and I'm excited to do more with. And I'm excited for you guys to like learn more about him as we move forward and as we get to make more episodes. And whether or not I kill Pseudo Blazemaker because he drives me insane, I don't know. But I honestly really like our dynamic of how he's Mr. Technology and I'm Mr. like practical, like brute strength, and the dynamic of us of like when his shit works, it's like fuck, and then when his shit doesn't work and I'm like running in, slaughtering stuff, he's like fuck. So it's I kind of like our little like rivalry going on, and so like, and that's what I mean. It's like it's cool. Like you gotta have those character dynamics, and then you got gosh. Oh, I'm forgetting her in-game name, but Darth Lexi and her druid character. I feel so ashamed. But she's kind of like the glue that holds everyone together. And then you got, and then you got, God damn it. See, I really like. Ilian's just like doesn't remember people's names apparently, like I do in real life. But Zombie, I remember all like their like Instagram names, but not the freaking game names. But and then we got Zombie Unicorn, who's like a little bit of the comic relief, but she can fucking deal out some damage, and it's really fun to make fun of how short she is, even though she hates it. And like I know, and like that's another thing is I know like maybe in real life I'm not gonna make fun of somebody's height, but Ilian Bortos is like he's not an asshole, but he likes to throw some jabs, like, and it's fun, and it's a good time. But like, thank you guys again. I had a great time hanging out and just talking about stuff. Like, I love talking about nerdy things. I love talking about D&D. I love, just talking about the things that I love. So thanks again, guys. Have a great night. I'll see you later.